talking about. I'm going to be talking about production. Okay, so as Dr. Zara introduction previously, what I'm doing currently is on SDG roadmap for Malaysia. So most probably you'll see the relationship later lah. Okay, so basically what we are going to be doing today is looking at production, but we'll start with the relationship between GDP and production. Okay, and then we will see why is it that we start with GDP, and then we're going to be looking at what happened when the production is not Islamic. Okay, then we are going to go into the more formal definition of what is production. Okay, why is there a need for production when we look it from an Islamic perspective? Okay, and when we talk about production, in order for us to produce something, there need to be input. Okay, then we'll look at the input or the resources that's going to be used for productions. Okay, and then I think the last part we are going to be looking at the technicality of the relationship between production and supply function. Okay, because because in the end, when we talk about production, okay, the products produced is going to be sold and bought by the consumer. Okay, so let's start with this. In looking at production, so what I'm showing you over here over there on the screen is GDP. Okay, and if you look at the, not sure whether it's right side or the left side, if you look at the map of the US over there, okay, it tell you what is the definitions of GDP, where GDP is the total monetary or market value of all the finished goods and services produced within a country's border in a specific time period. So we are looking at output that are produced. Okay, GDP are the output that are produced. So that's why we want to look at productions. Okay, because production is something that is produced by people in the economy. Okay, and this is one of the most important indicators if you are talking about economic growth. In fact, there is a book talking about invention, where GDP is the one of the greatest inventions that you have for this decade, because everyone are affected by the calculation of GDP. Okay, and the calculation of GDP is not something, in a way, is something that is recent. Okay, the calculation of GDP started sometime in the 1930s. Okay, before that there is no GDP calculations. Okay, and over time there are different there are different ways or different method people introduce, okay, in trying to calculate what is the well-being of people in the countries. But GDP are still one of the most important, and it's talking about, okay, what is the output produced. Okay, and on the other side you can see that is the GDP of the world, okay, in 2019, okay, where you have the US having the largest GDP. China is second, and if you look at the Muslim countries, it's not easy for us to see where are the Muslim countries. Okay, so here we are talking about output that are produced. Okay, the output that are produced, if we look at from an Islamic perspective, there are a lot of output that are Islamic, but there are also output that are not Islamic. So if you want to talk about GDP from an Islamic perspective, then we need to look at output that are allowable, okay, from the Islamic perspective, from Sharia, from the Islamic worldview. Okay, so why is it that people always talk about GDP? Okay, why is it that different international institutions, okay, saying that GDP is important? Okay, one of the reason is that they are talking about this trickle down effect. Okay, they are assuming that, okay, if GDP is high, okay, if economy is growing fast, okay, if economy is growing fast, then the rich are going to gain more wealth. Okay, when you have more wealth, not just the rich lah, okay, you are going to have a lot of people that's going to get more wealth. So when people have more wealth, there will be more investment that can be created. Okay, and this investment is going to create jobs. Okay, and when people are going to have more wealth, there's going to be more spending, there's going to be more consumptions, and this is going to increase demand. The increase in demand is going to increase tax revenue. The increase in investment is going to increase tax revenue. So what we are going to have, we are going to have this positive multiplier effect of increase in spending, okay, because of this trickle down effect. Okay, and when you have more investment, when the countries have more investment, then we are going to have more workers is going to be hired. As more workers going to be hired, demand for workers is going to be high, and then workers going to get higher pay. So that's the trickle down effect. Okay, that people talk about. Okay, when they promote high GDP. Okay, but in order for this trickle down effect to happen, there's a lot of assumption. Okay, but so this is the theory. Okay, talking about the trickle down effect. Okay, but in reality, whether we have this happening, right? In some cases, you do have this happening, but in more cases, this is not happening. So because of that, we have a lot of people talking about, okay, we need to shut down capitalism. Okay, we don't need capitalism. We need to talk about different type of economic system. Okay, we need to. Okay, so that's why I think a few weeks ago we have the lectures on comparative economic system. Okay, if you are talking about economic system, we are talking about okay, not in the world we don't have just a three absolute economic system where you have your capitalism, where you have your socialism, and most probably during the lectures we talk about the Islamic economic system. But even in capitalism there is a myriad, there's different diverse type of capitalism. Okay, but because of the issues in the economies that we have now, because of the issues in a lot of Western countries, because of the issues with the environment, because of the issues with poverty, okay, because of issues of inequality. So you have people saying that, okay, we should move away from capitalism. So of course, what we want is Islamic economic system, okay, because we are Muslim. But to get to there, a lot of things have to be changed. Okay, so when they talk about these theories with regard to this trickle down effect, there are a lot of assumptions. Okay, there's a lot of assumption with regard to the market structure. One of the most important assumption, okay, when we talk about capitalism is that capitalism assume that market is capitalism assume that market is competitive. Okay, but we know that market are not. We know that market are not market are not competitive. So because of all these different issues, so okay, we don't really have this trickle down. We don't really have this trickle effect. Okay, so when and also okay, with the current ways that countries are producing, okay, countries are talking about GDP. We have all these issues with pollutions. Okay, when we talk about productions, when companies talk about productions, okay, they just think about themselves. Okay, they are not thinking about what's going to be the effects of their productions to the economy. Okay, what's going to be the effect of their production to the environment. Okay, when I say they don't really think about what's going to be the effect of their production on the economy, the production may have a negative effect, okay, uh, on other people. Okay, it is positive for that producers. Okay, but it's negative for the other people. I think last lecture, uh, or last 2 week lecture, Prof. Rokia talked about externalities. Okay, so when we are in capitalism, where people are only think about their self-interest, then you are going to have these issues. Okay, but if we look at production from an Islamic perspective, then it is going to be different, because all this cost is going to be internalized. So that's what we are going to be looking at today. What is production from an Islamic perspective, where people will not when people talk about when economic agents talk about self-interest, they are also okay, the self-interest is already internalized. What are the negative externalities that that's going to happen, okay, when they produce their products. Okay, and at the same time, okay, because a lot of the assumption when we talk about capitalisms are not satisfied. Okay, market are not competitive. A lot of market are you have monopolistic structure, you have oligopolistic structure, you have people in power that are able to control the system. Okay, so that's why we already also have this poverty and inequalities. Okay, so that's the issues that we have now. Okay, when we talk about production. Okay, when we talk about production in a quote unquote capitalist system. Okay, even when we talk about production in a socialist system, okay, we do have some of this. We do have some of this issue, because most of the time, when economic agent, when people make decisions, they are not thinking about what's going to happen to other people. Okay, sometimes they intentionally not thinking about what is going to happen to other people. Okay, sometimes sometimes they don't even know, okay, what they are doing. Okay, what they are producing is going to affect other people. Okay, so when we look at production from an Islamic perspective, that is going to be one of the most important thing. Okay, when we do something, okay, okay, what is our ultimate aim? Okay, so if let's say when we do something, we think about what is going to be our ultimate aim. Okay, hopefully, okay, inshallah, this issue of poverty, this issue of pollution will not happen. Okay, at least it will not happen intentionally. Okay, if even UN realize this, okay, we cannot just target GDP. We cannot just target gross domestic products. All this theory saying that GDP is going to trickle down and solve poverty and solve inequality, okay, is not happening. So that's why they come up with the 17 goals of 17 goals of SDG. Okay, because this GDP, we do not talk about hunger. GDP do not talk about no poverty. GDP do not talk about climate action, climate change. Okay? In fact, since 1970s, we already have a lot of people talking about there is a need to come up with different measures of different ways of measuring output. Okay, so I think I'll answer any question sometime when I in around 10:15 or something, when I finish all my slides, because I have to go through a lot of slides over here. Okay, because I see there's a lot of hand being raised. Okay, so now let's look at the definition of productions from an economic perspective. Okay, so what is production? Production is the process and method used to transform resources. Okay, so whether it is a tangible resources or tangible outputs or intangible output. Okay, intangible output can be ideas, can be informations, can be knowledge into goods or services. And if we look at a lot of economies currently, if you look at a lot of countries, the share of GDP from services is much higher than the share of GDP from production of physical goods. Okay, and what are the resources? The resources are also called the factors of productions. Okay, and these factors of productions going to be used to create output that is suitable for use or going to have exchange value. So when we talk about production is a transformation process, okay, from resources, okay, that may not be useful at that stage, okay, to something that is to an output that is useful and has an exchange values for the economic agent. So we are talking about output that are physical, output that are not physical. Okay, and we have a lot of resources that we have on Earth. Okay, so later on we talk about the factors of production and the resources that we have on our planet Earth, and later on maybe when we go to the moon, when we go to the different planet, maybe we're going to mine the resources from other planets for us to use on planet Earth. Okay, I think most of you have seen this circular flow model of the economy. Okay, what I'm trying to show over here is where is the production process. Okay, so in this circular flow model of the economy, so this is a very, very simple models of the economy. Okay, where we look at the interactions of the different economic agents that we have in the economy. And here we don't have a government. We can put a government somewhere over here. Okay, but I think last week you may have talked about consumption. Okay, consumption is from the household side of the economy or the consumer side of the economy. So what we are looking at over here today is looking at the production side, or the business sides, or the firm sides of the economy. Okay, even the consumer can be the consumer can also be the producers. Okay, so the firm who are the one that's going to be producing, firms are the one that is going to be producing output, Okay, and in order for the firm to produce output, the firm need to get the firm will need to buy resources from this resource market or the factor market that we have on top over here. Okay, so then we have to look at, okay, what does it mean by resource market or factors market from an Islamic perspective? Who are the one that's going to be selling resources in this resource market? We have the consumer or the household going to be selling their resources in the factor or resource market. Okay, so after the businesses, the firm transform combine the different resources, okay, combine the different factors and produce a product. Then the firm is going to sell the products in the products market. The firm is going to get revenue, and who is going to be the one buying products from the products market? The consumers are the one is going to be buying products in the products market. So you have that circular flow model, a very very simple circular flow model of the economy. Okay. So now, so why is it that we have to look at production? Okay, even though our discussion, I think last week you talked about consumption. Okay, but in order for economic agent, in order for human being, in order for people to consume, okay, something need to be produced. Okay, you cannot consumer cannot eat rice, okay, if no one is producing paddy. Okay, consumers cannot eat meat if no one is having cows or chicken or whatever. Okay, so why is it we need production? Allah has created man to serve him. Okay, Allah say, I have not created man except that they should serve me. Okay, so for you to serve Allah, okay, for you to pray, for you to go to Mecca, okay, for you to pray in the mosque have to be built. For you to go to Mecca, okay, if you are from Malaysia, then you have to take an airplane. You have to take an aeroplane. The aeroplane have to be produced. For you to pray, yeah, you need to be okay, healthy for you to pray properly. Okay, so in order for you to serve Allah, okay, in order for you to serve Allah, okay, something need to be produced. Okay, or else then you will not have the energy for you to serve Allah. You will not be able to fly to Mecca. You'll not be able to go to the mosque. Okay, so something need to be produced. In fact, building a mosque will also be a part of the calculation of GDP. Okay, when you go take a fly, when you go fly to go to the Mecca, okay, then there will be service provided, and that service provided is going to be calculated in the GDP. So this life is a preparation for the hereafter. Okay, so as you prepare for you to prepare for the hereafter, you need to produce something. If you don't produce something, okay, you'll not be able to. It will be hard for you to. To serve Allah. Okay. So we know human beings are created with the role of Khalifah. Okay. This role gives us the sorry. Okay, so this role outlines the responsibility and provide the reason for the existence of human being. Okay, so what are the reasons? Okay, fulfilling God's will on earth, prompting what is good, forbidding what is wrong, establishing justice, and promoting beneficence, resulting in attaining higher level of good life, both individual and collective. Okay, so to do that, okay, you need to work. Okay, work is production come from your work. If the Prophet say the most lawful of what the person eat is from his own work, okay, rather than asking for charity, okay, and from every pious sale. So we are talking about businesses. We are talking about firms. Okay, we are talking about firms selling their products. So when you have that product, then you'll be able to serve Allah in a proper way. Okay, in fact, when you are talking about in Surah Jum'ah, uh, 10. Okay, and when the prayer has been concluded, disperse within the land and seek from the bounty of Allah. And remember Allah often that you may succeed. Okay, so Allah asks you to disperse, Allah asks you to work, and seek the bounty of Allah. Okay, so this is similar. Okay, talking about the prosperities that you have in earth, you have to work. Okay, work's going to lead to productions of output. Okay, so how to serve? Okay, something need to produce before something can be consumed. Okay, so for you to serve Allah, okay, you need to make sure you have energy for you to serve Allah. Okay, we have to make sure that we'll be able to have the transportation to go and serve Allah. Okay, we have to make sure that we'll be able to build a mosque in order for us to serve Allah. And how do we produce? We have to produce efficiently. Okay, so previously I showed you about the all the pollution. So similarly, okay, when we are talking about production, we don't want to waste our production. We don't want to waste our resources. Okay, because we don't want to waste our resources, we have to produce efficiently. Okay, so we want to produce as much as possible from the resources that we have. Okay, so that's why okay, with the resources there are different objective of the purpose of resources that we have. Okay, so in this ayah, in Surah Ibrahim, ayat 32 to 34, it is Allah who created the heaven and earth, who sent down water from the heaven, and thereby brought forth a variety of fruits as your sustenance, who subjected for you the ships that they may sail in the sea by his command, who subjected for you the rivers, who subjected for you the sun, the moon, and both of them are constant on their courses, who subjected for you the night and the day, who give you all that you ask him for. Were you to count the favors of Allah, you should never be able to encompass them. Verily, man is highly unjust, exceedingly ungrateful. Okay, so Allah have given you all these different resources. Okay, and what you need to do with the resources. Okay, so in the end, okay, the objective is to serve Allah. Okay, so what does the ayah say? Okay, Allah informs us that the creation of heaven, earth, and other resources are to facilitate human life on earth. All other creatures have been made subject to human authorities, so that's why we talk about all these different. Okay, we talk about the ships, we talk about rivers, we talk about sun and moon. Okay, that is subject to human authority. Okay, subject to us. Okay, to use. Okay, to produce products, to produce, or in modern term, to produce goods and services. And the good thing is that the sustenance He has provided, Allah has provided through the resources, is infinite, more than enough to support human life on earth. Okay? And most probably you have talked about scarcity. Okay, what is scarcity from an Islamic perspective? Okay, so from an Islamic perspective, we talk about relative scarcity instead of absolute scarcity. We have been given all the thing that is needed. Okay, and the thing is that whether we have found, okay, we have figured out how to use the resources that we have. Okay, the resources going to require human as a Khalifah. The resources as the input going to require human intervention to be transformed. Okay, so if let's say you think about a lot of different resources that we have in the world. Okay, if you think about wood, 100 years ago, the way we use wood are different. Okay, if you compare to the way that we use wood today. So that is one example when we talk about scarcity, when we talk about relative scarcity. Okay, so we have the good. Okay, the thing now, we have the resources. The thing now, how are we going to use the resources? Okay, the 100 years ago, the way we use the resources is going to be different from 100 years from today. Okay, if you are talking about 1,000 years ago, how people use oil that they found on land, and how people are using oil today are going to be different. Okay? Maybe oil is not useful anymore 100 years from now. Okay, where people are going to be using solar power. Okay, so even the nature of resources change. Okay, as people, as human being become, as human being evolve, as human being become more productive, as human being become more knowledgeable. Different resources going to have different uses. So producers as the Khalifa on earth, okay, what the producers have to do, okay, or what the firm have to do, okay, they have to transform resources into final good. Okay, but in transforming the resources into final good, since from an Islamic perspective, the economic agent is the Khalifa. Okay, they are going to see that the resources that is given by Allah Subhanahu wa Taala is a trust to them. Okay, so when they know that the resources that are given by Allah to them is a trust, then they know they should not pollute. Okay, so if what we have is an Islamic producers, we should not have the pollution. Okay, if the producers if the firm is knowledgeable, we should not have those pollutions. Okay, we may have the pollution if the producers do not know. Okay, then we go back to the question of relative scarcity. Okay, the question of relative scarcity, because one of the important thing is knowledge. Okay, to help us to transform the resources. Okay, for us to know whether what we are doing is correct or not. Okay. Okay, and since the producers as the Khalifa know that the resources that are given to them are a trust, so they know that they are accountable for the use of those for the use of the resources. Okay. So since resources are a trust, so it is an amanah to the producers. So at IIUM, we talk about khair. Khair is a summary of 4 words. One is Khalifa, KH. Okay. And then you have amanah, A. Iqra, I is Iqra, and R is rahmatan lil alamin. Okay, so when you have a Khalifa know they have the amanah to improve the world, to improve human being. So, and in order to improve human being, in order to improve the world, okay, for in serving Allah, they need to have knowledge, that is Iqra. So that is our short form, and we hope, inshallah, that the students that we nurture in this university at IIUM is going to have this going to have this attribute of khair, khalifah, amanah, ikra and rahmatan lil alamin. Okay, so as the resources and amanah, ownership in Islam is not something that is absolute. So when you know that, okay, what you have is not absolute, okay, then you're going to take care of what you have. So that's why I have a pictures over there, car rental. So when you rent a car, you are going to make sure that when you return the car is in a good order. Okay, so you have the trust, okay, by the companies that you are going to take care of the car as good as you can. Okay, so when we talk about production, Allah has endowed human being with an abundance of resources. So as a Khalifa, human being have been given amanah to manage the resources. Okay, so when you manage the resources, you produce products. The product is not only a mean for material satisfaction, but to attain falah as the ultimate goals in the for an economic agent, for a Homo Islamicus. Okay, so because of that, when the producers make production decision, they are going to observe the Islamic concept, the Islamic worldviews, the Islamic concept of justice. Okay, going to observe the Sharia. So that's the philosophy of production from an Islamic perspective. So it's different when we talk about Homo economicus. Okay? Homo economicus, the philosophy is trying to satisfy their utility, which come from their preference, and the preference is not guided by the Quran and Sunnah. Okay, whereas from an Islamic perspective, the preferences are guided by the Quran and the Sunnah. Okay, when the preferences are guided by the Quran and Sunnah, then what the Islamic producers are going to be doing is going to be Islamic. Okay, currently, I am doing the SDG roadmap for Malaysia. So what I'm telling the government, okay, why don't we just promote halal industry? Okay, so if we promote halal industry, we know that the industry will be Islamic. When the industry is Islamic, you will not have pollution. Okay, when the industry is Islamic, when the firm is Islamic, when the firm make decision, they are going to think about what is going to be the effect of the output that they produce to the people. Okay, whether it's going to increase inequality, whether it's going to improve poverty, whether it's going to improve inequalities, whether it's going to improve the lot of people that you have in the economy. Okay, so if let's say all the firms that you have in the economy is Islamic, okay, if you have all the firms that you have in the economy is Islamic, then the output is going to be Islamic. Okay, then you will be able to achieve all the SDG that you talk about. Okay, then the United Nations will be able to achieve their sustainable development goal. Okay, so we talk about the resources, the factors of production. So what are the factors of production? Conventional economy have summarized the factors of production or the resources into four, which are labor, land, entrepreneurship, and capital. Okay, and the main difference in terms of mainstream economics and then Islamic economics, when we talk about these four productions, going to be in the is going to be in the capital part. Okay, so we have summarized these resources or these factors of production into four. Okay, they are land, labor, capital, and entrepreneurship. Okay, so what does it mean by land? Okay, for sure there are a lot of resources that you have in the economy. So this is just to try to summarize. Okay, to put the resources into these four categories. Land is just a broad term that include all natural resources that can be found on land. Okay, so when we talk about land as a resources, okay, that oil is also is in the category of land, gold is in the category of land, iron is in the category of land, vegetation is in the category of land, and the resources that you have in the land can be renewable and can be non-renewables, and then the incomes that come from using the land or natural resources is rent. Okay, and in a way it is similar. Okay, we are talking about from the mainstream neoclassical conventional perspective and from the Islamic perspective over here when we talk about land, where people is going to get rent from the land, income from the land. So it's the rent is just a term, okay, for return, for selling, for using oil, for using gold, for using wood, water, and anything that are similar to that nature. Okay, and then you have labor. Okay, labor is coming from individuals that exert effort to produce goods, and the labor is going to be paid wages. Okay, the thing is that when we talk about labor, okay, what is important is the productivity of the labor. Okay, so because when we talk about production, we want production that is efficient. Production that is efficient is Islamic. Okay, and then we have capital. Okay, so this is the main difference. Okay, when we want to look at resources from an Islamic perspective and resources from a mainstream perspective. Okay, from mainstream economic perspective, capitals or capital good as a factors of production refers to the money that is used to purchase items that are used to produce goods and services. Okay, so a firm can purchase factories, a firm can purchase trucks, a firm can purchase computers. Okay, yeah, in trying to produce the goods. Okay, they are all considered goods. Okay, so the words that important over here is purchase. So for you to purchase, you need to have money. Okay, okay, from a mainstream perspective, okay, they call the income that come from capital as interest. Okay, so the interest rate is a benchmark when we talk about income from capital. Okay, so when you talk about return from purchasing computers, return from purchasing factories, return from purchasing machineries, the benchmark return is the interest. So that is from mainstream economic perspective. Okay, so we'll come to the Islamic views on this capital later after we talk about entrepreneurship. So, and what is entrepreneurship? The entrepreneur is in a way is the person or the firm or the entities that's going to combine the three factors of production, the three resources, the three category of resources into goods or services that can be consumed. Okay, and the income from these entrepreneurial activities is called profit. Okay, so that's from the that's the income from resources from the mainstream perspective. Okay, so now what's the difference? Okay, when we want to talk about capital, because if we are talking about rent, okay, when we talk about profit, in a way that's not much different from an Islamic perspective. Okay. So the rental of capital goods should be on the basis of operating lease, not financial lease. So if you want to talk about it from an Islamic perspective, okay, so from a conventional perspective, they in a way they benchmark it as interest rate. They peg the return to the capital using interest rate. Okay, but from an Islamic perspective, since yes, we interest rate is not permissible. Okay, when you talk about capital, we are talking about the real capital. Okay, we are talking about the instead of the financial capital, we are talking about the return to the real capital. Okay, so the return to the real capital, okay, it can be the lease from the for the truck. Okay, it can be the lease for the it can be the lease for the machine, for the computers, rather than pegging it to interest rate. So return to capital is not interest rate. Return of capital in a way is back to rent, the rent of how you are the rent that you have to pay to use the capital, the rent that you have to pay to use the truck, the rent that you have to pay to use the computers, the rent that you have to pay to use the machinery. Okay, so the supply of capital is not a function of saving. Okay, it's not a function of the interest rate that you are going to get from your saving. So it's not the choice between present and future consumption. It's not linked to interest rate, okay, but rather to the supply of capital determined by the opportunity cost of producing that capital goods. Okay, so that is the return to capital when we want to look at from an Islamic perspective. Okay, so back to if you remember the circular flow models of the economy, you have your resource market, okay, where the firm in producing the product need to get the resources from the resource market. So now, when they get all the resources from the resource market and transform the resources into products, into output, or into goods, or into services, they will need to sell the goods in the product market. Okay, so from the firm perspective, the firm is going to supply the product. So what we want to do now is we want to look at the supply side of the firm. How does the firm, okay, how does the Islamic firm supply their product? What's going to be the decision? What is going to be the behavior of the firm? Okay, but then there is also another side. Okay, when you have supply, okay, if you don't have demand, no one's going to buy your product. Then you also have the demand side. So the demand side, when you talk about the consumer, okay, it is the consumers is going to provide the demand side. When the consumer decide how much to consume, then you have the demand side. So for today, we are just looking at the supply side because the firms going to be involved with the supply side. Okay, so now it's going to become more technical. Okay, so how does the firm make decisions, okay, in supplying products, in supplying goods and services? Normally, we are going to assume that the firms want to maximize profit. Okay, so later we're going to look at the profit maximization from an Islamic perspective. Okay, so we are going to assume that the firm is going to maximize profit. So is it correct or not? Yeah, there are a lot of instances that the firms will not maximize profit. So the firm is going to decide, okay, in order to maximize profit, what do the firm need to do? Okay, so in order the firm to maximize profit, the firm need to produce output. In order for the firm to produce output, the firm need to employ resources. Okay, so the amount of output that the firm produce going to depend on the amount of resources that the firm is going to employ. Okay, and the amount of resources that the firm is going to employ, okay, is a cost, not a curse, is a cost that the firm is going to is the cost that the firm is going to incur. Okay, so for firm, profit is going to equal to revenue minus cost. Okay, where revenue is the amount of output that the firm produce time the price of the revenue minus the cost. So this profit function, okay, where we are going to have the total products that the firm is going to produce, okay, minus the cost, is going to determine, okay, how does the supply of the firm look like. Okay, so in this economics models, what's going to happen if we know the firm production function? Okay, production function is how the firm use the different resources and transform the resources into an output. Okay, so if we know the production function of the firm, okay, we know the cost function of the firm. Okay, so cost function is how does what is going to be the cost of the firm, okay, when the firm produce product. So if we are able to combine that, then we'll be able to come up with a model for what we call a supply curve. Okay, so the model is saying that the firm maximize profit. Okay, but at the same time, I say that not all firm maximize profit. Okay, so from the models that I talked about before, we will be able to get a supply function. Okay, the supply function is going to tell us how much a firm is going to supply in the product market. Okay, but in the academic world, there are a lot of different theories with regard to the behavior of the firm. Okay, so you see over here, we can categorize the theories with regard to the behavior of the firm into three. Okay, one is with regard to profit maximization. Okay, we also have other optimizing theory. So there are other theories saying that a firm do not maximize profit, they maximize sales. Okay, and there are also non-optimizing theories, mainly the behavioral economic theory. So even when we talk about the behavior of the firm, okay, from the mainstream perspective or from the Western perspective, there are a lot of different theories. Okay, but the one theory that we always use, or at least the conventional or neoclassical economists always use, is that the firms are maximizing profit. Okay, so that is the model that is used mainly by the mainstream economists. Okay, so even though we assume, okay, firm maximize profit, there are other theories, okay, that say that firm do not maximize profit, but they maximize other things. Okay, and there are also other theories talking about satisficing behaviors, okay, rather than maximizing behaviors or other type of behavior theories looking at the behavior of the firm. Okay, but for today we are mainly concerned about this profit maximizing theory. So what I'm saying over here is that there are a lot of other theories. Okay, it's not just one theory. Okay, and the other theories sometimes are more important than the profit maximizing theory. Okay, and then even from the neoclassical perspective, from this mainstream perspective, that that profit maximization, and then from the profit maximization we will be able to get to the supply curve, also depend on the market structure. Okay, so when we talk about firms are maximizing profit, okay, and from there we'll be able to get the supply curve. We are assuming that the market is competitive. Okay, so again, back to the when we talk about GDP is good for the economy. Okay, GDP is going to improve the lot of people in the economy. The assumption is that the markets that we have is a competitive market, but in reality, most markets are not competitive. Okay, so we have different type of market structure. Yeah, I think last week or last 2 weeks, okay, you have the introduction to market structure, where we have a perfectly competitive market, we have monopolistically competitive market, we have oligopolistic market, we have monopolistic market. So when we have monopolistic market, oligopolistic market, or monopolistic market, okay, the way the firm maximize their profits is going to be different. Okay, it's different from a perfectly competitive market. Okay, so this is the technicality with regard to the supply function. Okay, and how we get to this how this is how we get to the supply function from profit maximizing price taking firm. Okay, for you who have mathematical background, so I'll just go through this very fast. Okay, we know the assumption is that the firms want to maximize profit. For the firm to maximize profit, the firm need to know what is going to be the revenue of the firm. The revenue is price times the amount of output that the firm produce, which is Y over here. So profit is total revenue minus total cost. So it is P times Y minus total cost is going to equal to profit. Okay, so the firm chooses its output to maximize profit, taking price as given. So this is a very important assumption. Okay, the firm is going to assume that price is given. What does it mean by price is given? It means that the firms are not able to control the price in the market. Okay, it is assuming that there are a lot of firms in the market. When there are a lot of firms in the market, the firm will not be able to control price. Okay, so that's why what I'm saying, what we are looking over here, we are looking at a perfectly competitive market. In a non-competitive market, the firm will be able to control price. Okay, when firm are able to control price, then it's going to be a different ways of coming out with an with an optimum output or optimum price. Okay, so in the end, what is going to happen? Okay, if we take the first order derivative of this function, we are going to see that in the end, price is going to equal to marginal cost. And what is going to be the supply of the firm? The supply of the firm is going to be anything that is above this above the minimum of this marginal cost. So from there, the firm, that's the amount of output that the firm is going to supply. Okay, so what we have now Okay, how do firm make decision? How much is going to supply? How much is going to supply? The firm is going to look at how much. What is going to be the cost of all the resources? Okay, and it's going to see how much revenue is going to get, and from there the firm's going to decide how much is going the firm's going to supply based on the prices of the good. Okay, so now what is the difference between these theories with uh, these mainstream theories with Islamic economic theories, okay, of the generation of supply function. Okay, so let's go back to this profit function. Profit function is total revenue minus total cost. Okay, so from the mainstream perspective, total revenue is going to depend on the price, okay, and then the amount of output that the firm is going to produce, and what is the total cost to produce the output. So what are the direct costs? The cost that come from land, the cost that come from capitals, the cost that come from land, capital, the cost that come from entrepreneurships, and the cost that come from labor. Okay, so from the mainstream perspective, they look at all those direct costs only. From an Islamic perspective, why is it that I say from an Islamic perspective, we are going to have less of that. We are going to have less of that pollution. We are going to have less of that negative externalities, because when we are talking about from an Islamic perspective, the firms or the producers, okay, the Islamic firm, the Islamic producers, okay, when it make decision, he know, the firm know, or she know that ultimately what she is, what he is a Khalifa, okay, that are given amanah, okay, uh, uh, and what he's trying to do is to serve Allah. Okay, so when the firm make decision, the firm will not only look at the direct cost, okay, but this total cost will also include the indirect cost. That this total cost will also include the negative externality cost. Okay, the total cost is going to include the social cost. Okay, so when the firm try to maximize profit, okay, it's not only the firm will not only look at the direct cost, but the firm's going to look at the total cost, the total direct cost, but also the total social cost that the firm's going to incur by producing the output. Okay, so in this total cost, we are going to have a lot of other negative externalities that's going to be included over here. Okay, and when the negative externalities are included, then it's going to get into the decision making process of the firm. Okay, if there are pollutions, then the firm will not produce the product if the pollution is too much, because the social cost is too much. Okay, so that is going to be the difference between a mainstream capitalist firm and an Islamic firm. In fact, that's what the SDGs try to do. Okay, in fact, that's what a lot of conventional bank is trying to do now. Okay, they are trying to internalize all the social costs. Okay, how do United Nations make firm internalize the social costs? One of the way that they have done is they introduce carbon tax. Okay, so if let's say the firm pollute, what is going to happen? Then the pollution is going to be in this cost. Okay, if there is pollution, this cost is going to go very, very high. Okay, and then it's going to make the firm is going to is going to consider the pollution cost. Okay, so what the United Nations and what all these uh, Western countries is trying to do is in a way moving into the Islamic solutions, okay, where it internalize all the social costs, okay, assuming that the social cost is not is permissible, okay. Yeah, because there will be later on questions about, okay, is pollution permissible or not? Okay, so if pollution is not permissible, then you cannot even use the resources for you to produce the product. Okay, so previously I've talked about profit maximization, where we assume that firm try to maximize profit. Okay, in Surah At-Taubah, Allah say, see, if your fathers, your son, your brothers, your wife, your relative, wealth which you have obtained, commerce wherein your fear decline, and dwelling with which you are pleased are more beloved to you than Allah and His messenger, and jihad in His cause, then wait until Allah execute His command, and Allah does not guide the defiantly disobedient people. So in the ayah, Allah mentioned trade, commerce, okay, because it is human nature. Okay, so you can do business, okay, but it should not be greater than the love for Allah. But then how does it relate to profit maximizations? Okay, so in here it does not say that profit maximization is bad. Okay, profit maximization is not shunned. Okay, it should be treated as a means to serve the goals of human creation, which is to serve Allah. Okay, so why is it that we need to have profit maximizations? Okay, because when we are producing product, we do not want to have wastage. Okay, when we produce products, we want to produce in an efficient manner. Okay, when we produce in an efficient manner, if there is no waste, okay, so naturally the firm is going to maximize profit. Okay, and from the other side, when the firm maximize profit, it's going to produce products in an efficient manner. It will not waste the resources that is given to the firm. Okay, what if the firm is not profit maximizing? If the firm is not profit maximizing, there will be inefficiencies. There's going to be waste. Okay, when people come to work, instead of working, people are talking. So there's wastage, there's inefficiency. So in economic theory, we have this concept of duality. Okay, so maximizing utilities is going to be equal to minimizing expenditure. So in a way, it's similar over here. When the production is efficient, okay, there is no wastage in the production, you are going to get a maximum profit. And when you maximize profit, your production need to be efficient. There shouldn't be any wastage with regard to your production. Okay, and production of goods and services must be viewed as a means to for you to attain falah. Okay. Okay, so for the producers, okay, when the producers is making decision, okay, when the producers is maximizing profit, okay, the producers in a way is rational. Okay, so it is not rational for the producers to be inefficient. It's not rational for the producers to waste products. And for the producers in producing, okay, the producers should not produce prohibited good. Okay, uh, and the producers in producing goods going to see whether the goods that they produce are goods that are required, or the goods that are that more of a luxury for the consumers that you have in the economy. Okay, and another few things that we have to look at with regard to productions. Okay, before we conclude. Okay, so you have the firm using hiring resources to produce goods. Okay, and after hiring the resources, the firm is going to sell the good in the products market. Then come the questions: what are the goods that need to be produced by the firm? Okay, so from previous slide, okay, the first thing is that the good has to be halal. Okay, so again we are talking about serving Allah. Okay, so but that's not just the only thing that we have to that is of concern to the firm, that the good or services have to be halal. Okay, but for the state, the state also have to look at the hierarchy of the good that is produced. Okay, the goods that are produced in an economy. Okay, if we follow the maqasid of Sharia, there are three different category of good. So we have the necessities, convenient, the luxuries, the daruriyah, the hajiyah, and the tahsiniyat. Okay, so for the firm, yeah, if we just look at from the perspective of the firm, and the firm want to maximize profit, the firm will want to produce goods that's going to give them going to give the firm the highest profit. Okay, but the state must also assume responsibility to ensure that the necessities good, the daruriyah good, are produced in sufficient quantity. Okay, so if let's say you have all the firms in the economy produce luxuries goods, okay, the tahsiniyat, okay, assuming that all the firms do not know, okay, that they are the necessities good was not produced. So the state, okay, have the responsibility to direct the firm, saying that, okay, this necessities good have to be produced. So let's say you are talking about firms that are producing cars. Okay, saying that producing BMWs going to give the highest profit, you have all the firm produce BMWs. Okay, but the firm have the responsibility to tell the automobile companies, you need to produce a daruriyah car, or the transportation, okay, rather than just the luxuries transportations. Okay, what are the daruriyah transportation? Maybe the car, maybe the firm, instead of just producing all these luxurious cars, okay, the firm need to think about how to produce buses. Okay, the firm need to think about how to produce cars that will have the transportations that going to help the poor. Okay, so those are the hierarchy in the production. In fact, if you look at car companies, usually car companies or automobile companies going to produce automobile from the cheaper segment up until the most expensive segment. Okay, so if you look at Toyota, okay, Toyota produce a cheap cars up until the more expensive cars. Okay, they used to. I'm not sure whether they still have the Lexus brand or not. So the Lexus brand is the luxurious brand. Okay, and then you have the necessities cars that is much more much cheaper. Okay, so back to the rules of social welfare in the production decisions of the firm. So we know that as an Islamic firm, they know that their rules is the main objective is to serve Allah, to achieve falah. Okay, in making decision, they have to look at the social welfare part of their production decisions, and what is going to be the impact of their production to uh, to the economy, whether it's going to be good or it's going to be bad, okay? Or it's going to be something that is balanced. Okay, so from the theoretical side, so again, when we talk about the total cost, the firm will have to look at uh, the total cost, not just the cost to the firm, but also the cost to the cost to the society. Okay, so if the firm are able to do that, then we are going to have less, okay, of the issues that we have currently. Okay, issues of poverty, issues of inequality, issues of pollution. Okay, so now what are the differences with regard to the mainstream productions and then Islamic production? Okay, so when we talk about mainstream production, we have a firm that is rational, a firm that is maximizing profit, a firm that when it make decision, it is not guided by the by Quran and Sunnah. Okay, but you do have some firms that are guided by their religion. Okay, you have firms that are guided by the Christian religion. You have firms that are guided by Buddhist religion. Okay, but uh, from a mainstream neoclassical perspective, when the firm is rational, okay, the firm's going to have the preference. The preference going to come from anywhere. Okay, yeah, where the firm is going to have is going to look at, okay, what is the impact of their decision on the society. Okay, but if we are looking at a production from an Islamic perspective, the firm is guided by Quran and Sunnah. Okay, so the rationality of the firm that is guided by Quran and Sunnah, okay, that the firm is going to ultimate aim is to serve Allah, ultimate aim is falah. Okay, the success in the world, in this world and hereafter, the firm know that they are khalifah. So because they are khalifah, okay, then they have trust to improve the world. Okay, so when they are khalifah, they are given amanah. Okay, to produce rahmatan lil alamin. So their profit maximization decision is going to think about the cost that they are going to the cost that the society is going to incur when they make decision. So their production function, their cost function will include those negative externalities. Whereas when we look at from the mainstream perspective, the production function and the cost function will not include the negative externalities. Okay, but recently, what is happening? What all these international organizations try to do in order to reduce pollution? Okay, they are following the Islamic economics ways of trying to solve these pollution issues by trying to internalize the cost into the cost function of the firm. Okay, so with that, I guess that's it for today. So I'll take questions, okay, from people who have been raising their hand, okay, since the early part of the lecture.
All right. Thank you, Prof, for your sharing a very informative lecture indeed. So let's take some questions from the floor. The first one: how can Muslim countries apply Islamic economy in this contemporary world?
how can they apply Islamic economy? Uh, let just use okay, rather than trying to change the whole system. Okay, what can be done uh, in a simple ways, and trying to use uh, current economic instruments that we have. Okay, one of the thing that a lot of Western countries have, so that firms going to internalize the social cost that they are going to that's going to happen. Okay, so what can, because we know not all firms, even though they are in a Muslim countries, that they are going to behave Islamically. Okay, so the question now is how do we change the Islamically? Okay, so what the Western countries have done is they have internalized the cost. Okay, how do they internalize the cost, especially when you talk about pollutions? One of the way that they have done, they have introduced carbon tax. Okay, they have a lot, and they have done a lot of pollution trading, so that firm is going to internalize. So in a way, we have that similarity uh, with uh, Islamic theories ways of how to solve the issues. Uh, but then you have the issues. Can we trade pollutions? Okay, can we trade something that is not good? So I'm not sure whether these have been solved, okay, from the Sharia perspective or not. Okay, but these the tradings of pollution, okay, where the costs are internalized, have reduced some level of pollution in the Western countries. Okay, so, and another thing that is very very important for sure is education. So if we look at the SDG, one of the things that they have done is they have introduced the education for sustainable development. Okay, where they are pushing all schools, all higher learning institutions to have this education for sustainable development. So similarly, if we are talking about Muslim countries, so we have to push for uh, Islamic ways of trying to solve all these uh, economic issues. Okay, the thing is that you have a lot of Islamic countries don't even have courses on Islamic economic. In a lot of universities in Islamic countries, the courses they are taught are conventional economic courses rather than Islamic economic courses. Okay, so that is just some of the things that can be done lah. Yeah, because you cannot talk about changing the whole entire system in a few days or in a few years. It's going to take some time.
All right. Thank you, Prof, for your response. I have a following up questions to that. More or less similar question, but perhaps this one from a micro perspective. How can we ensure that manufacturing companies owned by Muslims can apply this concept practically, considering the high rates of pollution nowadays and also the objective of profit maximization?
Yeah. So back to okay. Okay, when we start the lectures, I think one of the things that we talk about is what the ultimate aim is to, and the ultimate aim is to serve Allah. The ultimate aim is falah. Okay, so when we talk about profit maximization, okay, we are not just talking about profit. Okay, we are not just talking about profit from the money sense. Okay, when we talk about profit, we are talking about profit that is holistic. Okay, so we are not just talking about when we talk about profit, we have to maximize your income. Okay, so if you have uh, Muslim firm, okay, that behave Islamically, okay, and when they talk about profit maximization, okay, so in the end, okay, they are going to look at what is going to be the impact of their productions to the environment, the effect of their production to the economy. Okay, in fact, not just we don't even need to look at Muslim firms. Okay, if we look at Ben and Jerry's in Israel, so what they have done, they try to stop their businesses over there because they think that what is happening in Israel with regard to the Palestine is not something that not something that is right. Okay, so when they talk about when they think about profit maximizations at that time, they are not just looking at the income that are going to get, okay, but they are looking at something that is much bigger. So if let's say all the firms are behaving Islamically, we are not going to get into those issues. Yeah, in fact, we have a lot of cases now. Example in Malaysia. Okay, uh, if let's say a bank see that a firm is polluting, what the bank's going to do? The bank uh, will not finance the company. Okay, when I talk to a lot of CEOs, yeah, in coming up with the SDG roadmap in Malaysia, okay, one of the things that I ask is what is the role of the bank, okay, in trying to improve the economy, in trying to improve the environment. Okay, what they say is that, okay, they are going to be looking at the firm. Okay, if the firm is polluting, then we are going to penalize the firm. It's not just one bank, but we are talking about an association of bank in Malaysia, and you have a lot of things, similar things have their own standard. Okay, so when we talk about profit maximization, okay, so it's not just the income, but in fact, when we look at the economy as a whole, and when we have all this, uh, when we have a collective is trying to improve the economy, okay, those who are not doing doing it in the right way, okay, okay, will not be beneficial lah. So you may have firms that try to find ways to maximize profit in terms of income by polluting, but if they are caught, uh, they are going to be punished, okay, not just uh, by the government authority, but they will also be punished by the business authority.
All right. Thank you, Prof. All right. Next is there any guide for production like consumption? While in consumption is guided by moderate between tadbir and taksir. So do we have something like that for production?
The easiest way when we talk about profit maximization, we are talking about the production have to be efficient. Okay, so if a production is efficient, okay, when we talk about labor, okay, when you come to work, you have to work. Okay, when you come to work, you don't just chit chat. Okay, what you want to do when you are talking efficiency, okay, when you are talking about efficiency, there is no waste. Okay, when there is no waste, there shouldn't be any pollution. So when you have that efficiencies, then you are going to okay, there's a lot of thing is going to be good. Okay, for sure there will be you can come up with different guideline, okay, where in terms of moderation, Okay, even when you talk about moderation from the consumption perspective, okay, what you want to do is you try to maximize your utility, okay, and moderation is look from that. Moderation is look from that perspective.
Okay. Also, almost similar question, but this one from macro perspective, maybe. Islamic countries guided by the Islamic philosophy of production.
What is Islamic countries guided by Islamic philosophy of production? Oh, that's the question. Okay. So if Islamic countries are guided and follow that, then you will not have issues in a lot of Islamic countries lah. So so that I think that is clear.
Okay. Right. Given the Islamic perspective of production is different from that of conventional perspective, is it abnormal? Is it not abnormal to use the same criteria to measure GDP in Islamic and non-Islamic economies?
Yeah. So that's why you have a lot of Islamic institution and Islamic researchers is trying to come up with different ways to measure GDP. Okay. Okay. In fact, why is it that UN come up with the Sustainable Development Goals? Because we can look at the evolutions of GDP in the 1970s. You have the instead of looking at GDP, we have people looking at Human Development Index, and there are a lot of other different index. Okay, but is GDP bad? The easiest way for us to make GDP Islamic, because there was a discussion I think a few weeks ago, when I have a discussion with some people at I think at the Department of Statistics. They are thinking about how do we calculate GDP from halal products and services. Okay, so one way is to look at products and services that have halal certificate, but you have a lot of products and services that do not have halal certificate. Okay, but anyway, there are issues with GDP. Okay, and all countries in the world are using GDP. Okay, and GDP are used for different measures. So all so what is going to happen now? The GDP will always be there, but we can complement GDP with different other different measures in trying to measure the performance of countries, okay, whether it is Muslim countries or non-Muslim countries. In fact, even non-Muslim countries, there are different measures of there are different ways of measuring well-being in those countries. Okay, in Malaysia, we even have happiness index to see people are happy or not. Okay, so anyway, there are a lot of different ways to measure well-being. GDP is just only one way, and different countries have been using different measures of well-being, okay, to see whether people are whether people are living in a good way or not.
All right, thank you, Prof. Since we are talking about GDP calculation and all, I'll just read this one question in relation to that. I think some part of it you have addressed it, but maybe you will give more explanation to it. Has there ever been a decisive efforts by any Islamic countries of the world calculating their GDP via strict Islamic principles? If yes, does it meet the general acceptability standards, particularly from the Islamic countries and other countries of the world? If not, why?
Not that I know of lah. Okay, but when we come up with this for Malaysia, we have this shared prosperity vision 2030, which is a long-term development policy. Okay, so one of the things that we have done at that time, okay, but I don't think it was published. Okay, what we have done is we try to calculate what is the output from what is the GDP of the Malay in Malaysia. Okay, and when we talk about Malaysia, uh, Malay are Muslim. Okay, and all the other ethnicity are most of the other ethnicity are non-Muslim. So in a way, what we have done at that time is try to calculate what is the GDP of Muslim. Okay, but GDP of Islamic products I'm not sure there is any lah. Okay, and why is it? I don't think because most of the time people the country is going to prioritize what are the things that are important. Okay, in terms of GDP, there are a lot of issues with regard to the calculation of GDP. So a lot of things that are not that are not calculated. Okay, so most probably, if my conjecture is that why is it Muslim countries are not looking at that, because it may not be one of their priorities at this time.
Okay. Thank you, Prof. I'm gonna combine these two questions by two different person because I think it is under the same context, right? Is the demand and supply is Islamic economics law? How does the theory of demand and supply give positive impact on Islamic perspective on the third world nation?
Okay, how does theory of demand and supply? Okay, one is I have to start with what do we mean by model, because demand and supply is just a model, okay? Trying to explain the economic behaviors in a country. Okay, and when we look at model, okay, model will not may not the model will not capture everything. So that's why in one of the slides that I have, I show the pictures of model airplane. So when you look at the in the pictures, there is a model like an airplane that look exactly like an aeroplane. Okay, that you put on your table. Okay, but that model airplane that look exactly like an airplane are not able to fly. Okay, and then there is also pictures of radio control airplane. Okay, that radio control airplane may not look exactly like an airplane, but it can fly. Okay, so when we look at the model, what the model try to do, the model try to capture the essence, okay, of what you are trying to explain, okay, and then left a lot of other things outside of the model. Okay, so the demand and supply model. Okay, okay, so you have two sides. Okay, you have the one side is the demand side, one side is on the supply side. Okay, so I'll try to concentrate on the supply side. Okay, so when we look at it from the supply side, because we are looking from the production side, so the supply, the demand and supply model mainly looking at a situations where you have a competitive market. Okay, so when we look at the supply, the demand and supply model, the simple demand and supply model, we are looking at a situation where we have a competitive market. Okay, and when I talk about the production of the supply curve, okay, I also say that there are four different type of market structure. So you have the competitive market, you have a monopolistically competitive, you have the oligopolistic market, you have monopolistic market. So the monopolistic market, the oligopolistic market is not captured by that demand and supply model. Okay, even the monopolistically competitive market is not really captured by the demand and supply model. Okay, the demand and supply models are mainly for the competitive market. Okay, so then the question now, how does it relate to the Islamic countries or non-Islamic countries? So I don't think there is a need to differentiate between Islamic and non-Islamic countries. Okay, so when we talk about the demand and supply model, we are looking at just one specific market structure. Okay, so and a lot of different market structure will not be able to be captured by that demand supply model. That demand supply model have a lot of different assumption with regard to the behavior of the firm, behavior of the peoples in the market. So if the behavior of the firm and the behavior of the people in the market follow that assumption, then you should be able to use that demand and supply model uh, to forecast, to figure out what is going to happen to price and what is going to happen to quantity. Okay, but when we look at a lot of Islamic countries, uh, a lot of the market are not competitive. Okay, a lot of the market okay, you have a lot of political intervention. Okay, you have a lot of okay, when I talk political intervention, it's not just the politicians. Okay, so you also talking about you have firms that are small, you have firms that are big, and that big firm may have more powers. Okay, so because of all the complexities that you have in the world, uh, the application, okay, can be done if you have uh, the countries, or you can have a situation, not the country, you have a situation where most of the assumption in the demand and supply models are followed. Okay, but most of the time the demand and supply models, the assumption are not able to be followed. So that's why we can go back to that trickle down. When I start the lecture, I talk about the trickle down effect. Okay, the idea is that okay, when if market are competitive, if the demand and supply model can be used, you will have this trickle down effect. Okay, if all the firms that you have in the economy have the same power, so you will have that trickle down effect. Okay, when the rich become richer, the rich is going to invest, and then it's going to help the poor. Okay, but the thing is that in the real world, you don't really have that. Okay, so when you don't really have that, okay, then you have to look at the situation. Some situation you can use that demand and supply model. Okay, in a lot of other situation, you are not able to use that demand and supply model, where you will have to look at okay, the context. Okay, what are the model that you need to use. Okay, very long answer.
All right, maybe Prof, one more question in which I will just combine these three questions because I think you can just maybe answer this briefly. Firstly, is could you elaborate more on what revenue is, and then what is the Islamic perspective on loss, and from the Islamic perspective, how should producers share their profit?
What the Islamic perspective on loss? What the is that the question?
Yes. So first is can you explain on what is revenue?
Okay, so
Second, what?
revenue is just what the firms get from basically the sales of the firm. Okay, so what is the price and how much you sell lah? What is the quantity that you sell? Then you have the revenue.
Okay. All right. So what is the Islamic perspective on loss?
I don't really understand the question. What is Islamic perspective? So I'll just try to I guess what does it mean? So one of the most important thing, if you are talking about the operation of the firm, okay, all the firms in every countries are regulated, okay, what they can do and what they cannot do. So when I mean regulate, so the law can be the uh, apa nama ni, the law of the countries lah. Okay, or the law can be the Sharia, okay, where where the firm may not be persecuted. If you are talking about the law of the countries, if the firm are doing something that is wrong, then they are going to be persecuted. So, but in the end, they will have to from an Islamic perspective, they will have to follow both the law of the countries, okay, and then they also have to follow the Islamic law or the Sharia. Because some countries the Sharia uh, is not something that is formal, but in some countries the Islamic law is something that is formal. For countries that the Islamic law is not something that is formal, and Islamic firm will still have to follow the Islamic law. It's not just the law of the countries.
Okay, briefly, Prof, how should producers share their profit based on Islamic perspective?
It's going to depend on the contract. There's a lot of different contracts with regard to sharing. Okay, so you have your murabaha, you have your musyarakah, and all those different contracts. And usually the contract is going to going to specify what need to yeah, how the profit is going to be shared. Okay, I don't think there is any, okay, whether because you are talking about profit. Okay, so let me just make it much broader. Okay, because the question is with regard to profit from a country's perspective. One of the things that country is going to look at is what is the share of labor in GDP. Okay, so one of the things that countries look at and is monitored by a lot of international agencies is the share of labor in GDP. Okay, so why is this important? Why is the share of labor in GDP is important? Because it's going to tell you, okay, when a firm make profit, okay, how much of the profit is going to go to the workers, how much of the profit is going to go to the owner of business. Okay, so if the share of which in GDP is higher, then more of the profit is going to go to workers. So if we look at countries, in a lot of developed countries, the share of wage in GDP is high in the Western countries, in developed countries, okay, where the share of wage for Muslim countries is much lower. So it is more Islamic in developed countries when you compare to when it's more developed in the Western countries, the non-Islamic countries, if you compare to Islamic countries. Okay, where the workers have more shares, where in Islamic countries the capitalists or the business people have more share. Okay, so what is good, okay, from a consumer from a consumer perspective, or from a worker's perspective, is that more of the profit goes to them lah. Okay, but from the business perspective, more of the profit goes to the business owner. Okay, so what is the guide? I don't know. Okay, what should be the number? I don't really know. Okay, but if you look at the okay, so I think what can Muslim countries do? Muslim countries can try to benchmark with the non-Muslim countries. What is the share of wage? What is the share of labors in GDP? So if they can increase that, okay, then okay, at least they are not worse than the non-Muslim countries.